I love you, pipe. Aww. Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I want to take a couple minutes and kind of talk about some very, very basic things when it comes to venting. So in our world, we basically have two types of appliances we're dealing with. A gas appliance, natural gas or propane, and we have wood. So I just want to give the very basic primer on the difference between the two appliances and the different types of venting. So we're gonna start with wood. If I were gonna make it about as simple as possible, you have what we call stovepipe, and maybe this is the type of pipe that you would see on top of a stove, or the visual part that you see when you have a wood burning stove. We have single wall pipe. It's just a single layer of pipe, comes off the stove, heads up towards the ceiling or wall. The other type of pipe it's essentially the same thing, but it's what we call double wall pipe. And the only difference is there's an extra layer, and that's where your exhaust goes. Then there's an air gap in between where air travels in between the two layers, basically cools the outer pipe a little bit more. The benefit of that is you have much more room to play with than you do with this. So off the top of my head, you're roughly 15 to 16 inches of clearance to combustibles with this, and with the double wall pipe you are about 8 inches away. So this is much more forgiving on where you put the stove in the house. Once you get to exiting out of the house, whether you're going through the ceiling or you're going out the wall, you would convert to what we call Class A pipe. Now throughout the years, people have used the different terms of double wall, triple wall, insulated. To make it very simple, we call it Class A pipe, and there's two versions. Insulated pipe, which is you basically have an outer layer, an inner layer, that's where your exhaust goes out. And it's almost like double wall pipe, but on steroids. You have packed insulation, which really reduces your clearances. And this allows you to get within 2 inches of combustibles, whether it's drywall, insulation, or framing. As soon as you go through a wall, you are absolutely committed to sticking with Class A pipe. Throughout the vent run, you can't go back to a single wall or a double wall. Once you switch to this pipe, you need to stay there. Those are the very basics when it comes to wood venting. Now, when it comes to wood venting, no matter what, whether you're going out the ceiling or out the wall, you must finish above the roof. And we'll show a diagram in the video of kind of what we're talking about. With wood venting, for it to draft properly, you have to get a nice long vent run, and you have to get above the roof. Now, if we're gonna switch over to gas, on that point, gas is much more forgiving. If you just wanna come off the stove or off the fireplace and go right out the wall, not a problem. You terminate on the wall, you're fine. If it's easier to go out the roof, perfect. So there's a lot more forgiveness when it comes to with the gas pipe. Now, with gas venting, there's basically only one type we use, and it's basically called direct vent. As you can see, you have an outer layer and an inner layer. And all that's happening is your exhaust is going through this inner pipe, and fresh air from the outside is coming through this section. Your clearance to combustibles is going to be within 1 inch. So very forgiving with this pipe. The big difference between this and a lot of older fireplaces that you might see in your house when it comes to a gas fireplace is they had what was called B-vent, or just a single vent run. The exhaust would go outside of the house on this through your inner pipe, but then the air that would feed the fire came from your house. So in theory, you kind of have all this warm air feeding the fire and then going out your chimney, not very efficient. So now the new fireplaces on the gas line are much more efficient in the fact that you're not using your room air to feed the fire. So the fresh air is coming from the outside and the exhaust is going out. So you have a nice, for all intents and purposes, an airtight appliance that's truly producing heat and not just going out the wall. So that's kind of the basics when it comes to the difference between a gas appliance and the venting for a wood appliance. So like I said, that's a very quick primer and very basics when it comes to the differences between gas venting and wood venting. We'll get into more detail on future videos about when you would use certain wood ventings and certain gas ventings on very detailed installations. So we'll talk about that later. But thank you very much for joining us. Please pay attention for more information on Flatirons Fire. Thanks a lot.